Disclaimer, this is my first impressions on the first episode and only the first episode. I will revisit the series and watch it to its completion after all the episodes air. My opinions on this series may or may not change after I do so. Furthermore, I have never read the comic book this series is based on, so keep that in mind as well. Preacher has had a lot of hype surrounding it since its announcement back in 2013. The trailers have made it out to be an Ash vs. the Evil Dead kind of show, which I'm a fan of, so Preacher's trailers certainly caught my attention. Furthermore, it's being developed by Sam Caitlin, who worked in Breaking Bad, and the duo of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. They mostly make comedy films, with this and 50-50 being the exceptions. Don't get me wrong though, Preacher is funny, but it's not strictly a comedy. First off, I'm glad that this is being adapted into a television show instead of a movie. I feel that comic books just translate better into TV than the big screen, especially if they're not too effects/spectacle heavy like Preacher is. I mean, there's a lot of action and special effects here, but not like the Hulk wrecking a city type of spectacle, you know? At this point, everything is looking pretty good so far. We got the best possible medium for this kind of story, some pretty good talent behind it. However, there's a looming shadow above it all. It's network AMC.
Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ!
Preacher is AMC's second show based on a comic book. Their other one being The Walking Dead, which I've had a love-hate relationship with. It's a horrible cycle, really. The first couple episodes of every season are really fucking good, so I go, oh wow, this is actually really good. Maybe this season they'll finally get it right.
Nope.
It's shit. It's shit. It turns to shit. Absolute fucking shit. And this happens every fucking season. So because of that, I went into Preacher with a tad bit of cynicism. But now that I've actually seen the pilot, I can safely say that it's good. Really looking forward to the rest of the series, which is what a pilot should do, so good job. Good job, Preacher, you did good. Part 1. The characters. I really like the characters so far. We got some sort of Irish vampire person who's by far my favorite character. Only problem I got with him, which is more of a personal problem than the show's problem, is that half the time I got no fucking idea what he's saying. And I know that's rich, coming from me, a guy whose English can sometimes sound fucking horrible. But honestly, I had to put subtitles just to understand what this guy was saying.
Take a man, keep judgment.
Then we got this lady, whose name I can't remember. She's like the Preacher's ex-girlfriend or something. I don't know. She has a fun action scene halfway through the episode. Problem here is that I just don't care. Mostly because of one pretty major reason. I have no idea why they're fighting or who she's fighting against. I mean, the episode tells us that she got some kind of map out of it or something. However, we got no idea why she was in the car to begin with, or again, who these people are. Also, like, there's these kids that she runs into, and the kids, instead of being horrified of seeing a woman fucking kill 2 people in front of their house, are like,
awesome! So awesome!
Which is, I don't know, kind of fucked up. Pretty dark, really. We'll talk about the show's darkness later on, by the way. On the other hand, I enjoyed the Irish vampires action scene a lot more because we know why they started fighting. These people are exorcists who are here to hunt/kill the Irish vampires, so that's why they fight. We got a pretty solid reason for the fight, and because of that, we actually care about what's going on in the scene. Don't get me wrong though, her action scene is good. They both got some great choreography going on, and the high budget also helps to make both scenes a hell of a lot of fun to watch. Oh, and speaking of the budget, I'm assuming the budget for this show is pretty high. Well, at least the pilot's is. Hopefully the same amount of quality we saw here is present in the rest of the show, but knowing AMC, I don't know, hoping for the best. Then we got the titular Preacher. He's just kind of depressed most of the episode. He's trying to be a good preacher like his father was, but failing miserably at it. Gotta say though, love his voice. Hell, I love everyone's voice so far. Big fan of the southern accent. And speaking of the South, big fan of the setting as well. It's like this small town in Texas in which everyone knows each other, which I personally love. Also really liked how everyone hangs out around the church after mass, eating hot dogs and just hanging out. It gives the place a real nice sense of community. Then there's the guy with the fucked up mouth. Some people dislike the makeup they put on him, but I personally think it's okay. Not great, but it's not bad like some other people are making it out to be. Most of the backlash seems to come from the fans of the comic, which, as I said earlier, I'm not, but looking at the comic's depiction of him, he should really look a lot more fucked up than he does. To my understanding, at some point, Preacher was gonna be made by HBO, and this is the makeup they were gonna go with. And holy shit, it looks a lot better. The makeup that we got looks like shit compared to this, so I can see why some people are upset. Part 2, the tone. As I said earlier, the tone seems to be similar to last year's Evil Dead series. We got similar over-the-top violence, dark humor, and at times, mean-spiritedness. To me, mean-spiritedness in the show can be a big turnoff. However, I think there's enough of a balance between the mean-spiritedness and just straight-up fun. For example, at the beginning of the episode, there's this guy who's doing his preaching, and then he blows up. This happens again in some kind of Satanist church, and to Tom Cruise of all people as well. Well, the first scene is kind of mean. Like, what did this dude ever do to deserve getting blown up? But this meanness is balanced by Tom Cruise getting blown up, which, now that I think about it, is also kind of mean as well. So, bottom line, it's dark humor. Either you like it or you don't. I personally am not a fan of mean-spirited shows with too much dark humor, which is why I enjoyed Fargo's second season a lot more than its first season. Because Fargo's second season had lovable characters and lighthearted humor mixed in with the mean-spiritedness that Fargo is known for. It's more of a personal thing, really. You might not mind the mean-spiritedness, but I do, so gotta mention it. The series is also highly stylized. For example, whenever we go to a new location, we get its name in giant white letters. Or how in the beginning, we see the world in a map-like form. I really like this. It gives the show a nice sense of style, which is kinda lacking on a lot of shows today. Part 3, the plot. I honestly can't really say much about the plot, cause it's the first episode. What we got so far is some weird-ass invisible entity that gives our MC some type of do-what-I-tell-you powers. He tells this guy to
tell her the truth. Open your heart.
So this guy does just that, literally.
I have to open my heart to you.
So yeah, as I said earlier, dark humor. So in conclusion, looks promising so far. I have no clue where this shit is going, so that's good. I guess I could also talk about flaws here. There's like no jarring flaws so far, or massive plot holes or anything like that, which is good, cause if there was, I'd be really worried about the future of the show, but as it stands, I got no issues on it. At least so far. Part 4, the opening. There is none, which is shitty. Hopefully we get an opening next episode, because I'm a big fan of OPs, and as of lately, most American shows have settled with having an 8-second opening with just the title, or no opening at all. This is one of the few things anime gets right. All animes have an opening, mostly to save animation costs, but still, I wish, I demand gringo shows start having real OPs. Like, let's look at Netflix shows, for example. Most Netflix shows have great openings, like Daredevil, Making a Murder, Actually, not a fan of that OP. It's kind of shit, in my opinion. But still, at least it's there. In conclusion, hopefully Preacher gets an opening, preferably a good opening that isn't 8 seconds long or shit. Part 5. Talking Preacher. Lastly, before we end the video, let's talk about the talking show attached to it. A format that has been used in Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, etc. And is being hosted by the same dude, quote-unquote super fan Chris Hardwick. I guess the point of the show is to like interview the creators, actors and stuff. I just don't get the point of a talk show dedicated to just one show. Also, I'm not really gonna trust the opinions of this guy if he's paid by the network who produces the show. Like, he's never gonna say, oh, I didn't like this episode, or point out any flaws. The addition of the show can also be harmful to the main show as well. For example, in The Walking Dead, when Glenn was supposedly killed, he didn't show up in the Talking Dead's in memoir thing. So because of that, people figured out that Glenn was alive, which kinda ruined it. Especially after the show went on for like 3 weeks without answering the question of whether Glenn was alive or not. They had two options here, to either have Glenn in the show lying to the audience that he was dead, or do what they did, which gave away the quote-unquote twist. The first Talking Preacher airs on May 29th, which is almost a week after the first episode airs. So I'm basing my criticism on the show's synopsis and from what few Talking Dead episodes I've seen, which is not very professional, so sorry about that. I just really want to get this video up while Preacher's pilot is still relevant. Lastly, I'ma give this shit a score cause people love scores for some reason, so I'll give Preacher an 8 out of 10. This score may or may not change after I see the rest of the episodes, but as of right now, it gets an 8 out of 10. It'll stay that way if the show keeps up the high quality action scenes, fun characters, and its style. And that's that. Thanks for watching. If you want, check out my reviews on Black Mirror's first and second episode. Review on the third episode will come out soon.